Hello and welcome to this episode of Diverse Talks, connecting the dots between industries with perspective from influencers from around the globe. My name is Darren Brunton.
And my name is Nurul Ashikin.
And with us today is our special guest, Miss Marieke Barker. Welcome, Marieke, to our episode of Diverse Talks. Marieke started her career in what is traditionally known as a male-dominated industry. The challenges that have been faced with a life that has been chosen and led. The challenges of a female in a male-dominated industry, and how you in a leadership role in business and how this has been reflected on your career as a woman in leadership and what's in it for you. Welcome, Marieke, to this edition of Diverse Talks, and we're very happy to have you with us. You've been part of the offshore oil and gas and the diving industry for many years, and with that, owner of a company called LEXMAR, which is now part of a company called JFD. LEXMAR specialized in building and manufacturing of saturation diving systems. Marieke's story is a journey of a woman who, through extraordinary circumstances, became a respected leader in our industry of diving and influenced and encouraged many people with that, with her positivity, her strength and resilience through the career and those many years in that industry. Originally from Holland and Netherlands, she's been living and working in Singapore for almost 27 years. So welcome, Marieke, over to you.
Thank you both, Darren and Nurul, for inviting me on Diverse Talk. I think it's a privilege and an honor to be part of it. You only started it recently, I like the positive vibe, and especially in the time that we're in at the moment, it's very, very welcome, I think. And personally, for me, I hope that through sharing, that I can give a little bit of positivity and hope also to the people that are listening, and based on the experiences that I've had. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Marieke. In this Diverse Talk session, we will be discussing with Marieke her career working in a male-dominated industry, her challenges and positives that have now taken Marieke into a role model for women in leadership. So I would like to start this Diverse Talk session with you, asking you what brought you into the commercial diving industry, which has historically been a male-dominated industry. So Marieke, what is your background in general, and what were your career aspirations that you had perhaps when you were a teenager?
Well, I grew up in Holland, like Darren already said, and on an island in the southwest of Holland. It's called Goeree Overflakkee. Try and say that again. And I grew up on a farm in a big family, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And I actually didn't quite know what I wanted to be. I mean, when I was a kid, maybe a teacher, but my brother teased me so much that I thought, no, I'm never going to be that. And so when it was time to choose, I didn't know, and my dad had talked to somebody and he said, maybe it's good to do like a business administration course. So I did. It was in Rotterdam. I didn't like it, but it's left me with a lifelong friend, which is, of course, again, a big positive. After that, I started working for agencies. At the time, in Holland, you had a lot of they called it temporary agencies, and they sent you out for sometimes a couple of weeks, sometimes a couple of months. And I thought it would be perfect for me because I could see what different companies did, and maybe it would inspire me, to choose a career or to maybe start studying again. After not that long, I think 1 or almost 2 years, a friend of mine, she was going to go to the US, and as an au pair, as they call it at the time. And I was used to maybe traveling a little bit in Europe, but I've never been to US. And at the time, flying was a novelty for us. And I said, if you know somebody else, I'll join you. And that was like really fast, within like a month or so. So I guess a little bit of adventure and new things was already early inside of me. And when I came back, I went back to agencies working, and then through, I think, my first, one of my first jobs, permanent, was with Smith Offshore Contractors. And that's actually my first introduction actually to the commercial diving industry. And that's where I also met my husband, Lex. And later, a couple of years later, we were both working for different companies. That's when we actually went to Singapore, because Lex had the opportunity to start a company there. And he said, do you want to join? And I said, yes. So be careful, one word can change your life. And I, of course, had no idea where this path would eventually lead me. Yeah. You also asked me, Noro, like with regards to career. I talk to a lot of people, and it's often that people, what they've studied for, or they actually never do in their actual career. So, a big percentage of people, you say, I don't think you can plan as much as you want, and then life happens.
That's true. Yeah. That's been an interesting journey, Marieke. Thank you for sharing that.
So when you came to Singapore, I'm sure that was a huge step. I mean, when I first came to Singapore, I had my own challenges, and it says, what sort of country am I going to, and what's going to happen, and everything like that. And you had the other aspects of moving with your future husband, I guess, at the time. So during that period, and also after that, when you came to Singapore, we all go through highs and lows in our life, in our career. And where you set up the company here and you develop that into a very good, huge leading company in building saturation diving systems. What were the highs and lows that took you through that life challenging aspect?
I'll first take you a little bit to the very beginning and how I actually got to where I am now. And first coming to Singapore, it was hard. It was difficult. The culture, the people, language, everything was different. And I was used to, independent life, had my own job, car, friends, family, you do whatever you want. And then coming here, and we basically started the company with just the two of us. And Lex was often out, trying to get work. And you have too much time to think. It's not very healthy. So the first couple of years were really tough. And I do remember that my eldest sister, who actually went through a difficult time at that time, and they and the rest of my family, they sent a calendar to me. They made it themselves. And what she put on it was, it's not the circumstances that determine your happiness, but it's your attitude towards your circumstances.
Very much so.
And that was a life changer for me. And I thought, instead of like looking at what you miss, I'm actually very lucky and blessed that I have so many people to miss. So it's just a change in your mind, a change in how you see life, which makes all the difference. And we were very small initially, and the economy was actually the industry. It was difficult at the time, and we did some refurbishments. We were a distributor. We bought and sold parts, diving equipment, and it took some time, up to maybe 2000. So we started LEXMAR in 1996, and then we started our own brand of equipment. and try to incorporate that into our refurbishment. So if you build a set system, you have maybe the hardware, the chambers, but everything else around it is new. And that's also a little bit when IMCA started. I think you, Darren, you were involved, and I think the whole of Southeast Asia, we were very much involved with IMCA. We all have good memories of that, but it was a lot of hard work, and all the guidelines and the traceability, the test procedures that were set up to make like the whole industry safer was all part of that. And then later, Lex also saw, like others also, that new wave of new systems coming, because the classification societies, they wanted to change the rules, and of course the existing diving systems were all mature, as maybe the word, and so new systems were needed because they wouldn't meet the current safety standards anymore. And so we wanted to be a builder of diving saturation systems, but as a new kid on the block, it's not easy. And it was only in 2006 that we actually got awarded our very first complete diving system to DNV class. And a year after, another one from a Dutch company, and it went. I mean, the whole industry, it went kind of crazy at the time. And so the end of 2007, Lex, he was already in talks to potentially sell the company, actually. And because it was going on the high, and he was not that young anymore, and he thought, it's quite a lot of stress. I think if somebody else can take over, then I would be quite happy. But he got sick, and actually one of the people that was involved in the potential sale, I asked him to do the general management on the day-to-day basis. And after then, Lex passed away. And that was definitely a major low and had a huge impact on my life. And of course, then you're suddenly there with a company. And you also need to go through like a mourning phase, like you need to process what's been happening to you. So the person that was involved in the potential selling of the company, he stayed on. I tried to sell, but it didn't go through. And so I asked that person to become the managing director, like in mid-2008 of LEXMAR. And that actually led to another major low, because only, little less than 2 years later, this person also, this managing director passed away. And that was actually the first time that I was like, I had the full weight of the company on my shoulders. And at the time, it was like almost 100 people. We were either in the middle or at the end of 5 inbuilt systems and 2 modular systems. So actually, later, if I look back, it was crazy times. And to give a little bit of perspective for the people listening, when you sign a contract till the end of an inbuilt system, it can take anything up from 2 to 3 years. And a modular system maybe a bit less, but still. So it was tough, and not just that you're suddenly responsible for people, for a company, for contracts to finish. I've been brought up with a great sense of responsibility, and I think growing up, it gave me a lot of the core values that I have, and one of them is like, you don't give up. And my dad used to say, you know, when you start with A, you also go to B and to C and to Z. You just do it. Make sure it's finished. So I don't think I necessarily went on for Lex. I don't think so. It was more on your team, your company. You're in it. You got responsibility. Things need to be finished. But it's after like I think maybe 6 weeks or 2 months, I thought, oh my goodness, you know, this is really, really tough. And I remember having a friend on the phone, and I was actually in tears saying, well, I'm not sure if I can do this. And she said, well, you know, circumstances happen. And if it's really not for you, then I'm sure it will become clear. But in the meantime, she said, you just stand in the authority that God has given you. And the next day, I read somewhere, and I actually wrote it down and put it I had it on the fridge for ages. God has called you. Now God has led you to a place, you know, where He's called you, and you're at the right place at the right time, something like that. And for me, that was a turning point. So I was like, okay, I've experienced a couple of times that with Him, nothing is impossible. So if this is potentially possible, if He thinks so, that I can do that, then let's go for it. And it took years, though, before it actually went better. It first became like a lot worse. And like I said, you know, there were so many projects going on, and getting the right people with the right expertise was not easy at the time. And I was looking for someone that I could trust, someone that I could at least lean on for the technical part, you know, somebody who knows about diving, not just about the equipment, but also about diving. I know I got Gary as a technical advisor. Some people know him, and but more with a management experience to stand next to me. And beginning of 2012, we had to do the sea trials on one of the systems on a vessel, and you know that gut feel that something is not quite right. And I just thought, you know, with what I've been through for the previous years, I don't think there's that kind of experience on a management level, like if something goes wrong, and I need somebody else. And I had been talking to Martin Hardy, and he was a good friend from both of us. And we had lunch a couple times, and you know, he had a job, so I actually never thought that he would be interested to join me. And but at the time that sea trial was coming up, he left the company that he was working for, and I said, "Can you just go on sea trial? You know, it's just for 2 weeks." Yeah. To make a long story short, you know, he never left. He never left. So I think that was for me the first time that somebody took some of the weight off my shoulders. And 2012 was not an easy year. It was so difficult.
I mean, you've covered so much there, Marieke. You know, just a very quick summarize. You brought attitude into this conversation, and your resilience from that attitude of what you've been through, from starting, then developing a company, and having all those highs and many lows, and then the loss of your husband, and the struggles you've gone through there. And thanks for sharing. And that just goes to show, you know, it's about resilience, it's about adaptability. You mentioned about following up with regulations that came into the industry, which was new for us all, right? Regulations and guidance to make things safer. And you've been part of that journey, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. It is an amazing journey what you've gone through, Marieke, right from, you know, the responsibilities that you have to shoulder, how you feel it, how you deal with it, and how you heal from it. And the very fact that you feel that it was absolutely okay not to be okay, and how you found comfort, and, you know, having someone to be there for you during those times of needs. And that's amazing that you've got that strong support, I must say, during those times.
It took a couple of years before I had that, but yes, it's true. And Martin was a project director in 2012, and like I said, we the circumstances were such that a combination of a contract that we received that was actually not honored, and it really got us into a lot of debt. Because you start buying, and if there's nothing coming in, and there was in combination also with at the time there were less systems being built, so no work coming in and not getting the turnover. That almost cost me the company, and so a lot of people thought the same. So a lot of people quit, and I've never seen so many white envelopes in 1 year. And we were left with a small team at the end of 2012. And I actually always thought that something miraculous would happen, that, give me some divine help here, because it's hard. And, beginning of 2013, that was a huge high, a huge change that put the company back on its feet. And it was actually two things. One, the building that we were in, the commercial real estate at the time was soaring, and I could sell the building for more than twice as much as what I bought it for only in 2008. So that took care of that, a lot of that. And the other thing that happened, a customer came to us and wanted us to build a twin SPHL 18 diver set system. And that was the biggest contract we ever had. So I called Martin and said, Martin, you're in this with me. And then he was like, yes, I am. He became a shareholder then of LEXMAR. And also he became the COO, from the operational side. Well, I did the CEO, and we used to joke about that one. And that was the beginning of like a fantastic time, because we've learned so much from the year before, and talked a lot about, like, if we ever had the opportunity, how to do it differently. And this was our chance to do it differently. And of course, I sold the building, so I needed to get out. So we rented a place. But then in 2014, we got another contract, similar system. And the year after, in 2015, the beginning, January, I think it was, a third one. And then I said, I'd like to have our own building again, because in 2015, we would also had to move out again, because we only had a lease of 2 years. And it was not the best of facilities. So the hunt was on for a new building, and that was the one we got. That's another story altogether again. It was amazing how we got that. And that was the best building ever. I moved 6 times.
But that just goes to show you adaptability and how you're agile and changing. And I think it's very poignant in today's climate. You've gone down to the lowest of the lows, and many businesses are doing that exactly structured now with the environment we're in. So your sharing of what you've done and how you've come out of those lows, and sometimes it's not luck. I think it's determination, it's attitude, it's the mindset of what you have, and the drive. And also, you pointed out one good thing: it's the people around you, it's the people you involve. Martin Hardy, the other guy, the tech, I think names forgive me now, but it's about the people, your team, right? So it's fantastic sharing, and I really want to thank you for that. And I think a lot of people hopefully will take a lot out of this conversation, because it's very relevant in today. We've been hit by this pandemic, the oil and gas crash as well. There's so many things happening, and you have been through so much of those lows, and you've come out with the attitude and being high. And it's worked for you. You've managed to maneuver and be very positioned. So what's your next step as a women in leadership, or leadership in that sense?
If you're asking me if I would have any advice for women in the industry, or if they're aspiring leadership, first of all, I think you got to be yourself. And you're a woman, don't try and be a man. It sounds silly, but it's true. And because we bring something very different to any industry, to any company. Guys have talents, women have talents, and I believe that if we appreciate each other, and if we can actually celebrate what we both can achieve, and you work together, that a lot of companies can be a lot more successful. And you got to know your strength. You got to learn to know your strength. I had to learn it. I had often, like, I can't do this. I'm not capable. I don't have the background. I don't have the experience. And I was at a point like, I'm building saturation diving systems, and I'm a non-diving person. You got to know engineering, and engineering needs to be safe, for safety of the divers, of the people working offshore. And I didn't have an engineering degree, so anything that could be against me was actually against me, I thought. Mm-hmm. But yeah, maybe it's the perseverance. It's I think as a leader also, you don't necessarily need to know everything. In the beginning, I was so stressed out thinking I needed to know everything, and you don't, because what I've learned in the last section of LEXMAR before we sold the company, we had a chance, to hire people and that we knew were right for the team. And you have a culture, you have it's both the experience, but also the people that you hire with the right attitude. You need the expertise, definitely. But to me, it's like the attitude towards your work, towards your colleagues, is hugely important. And you got to lead with your heart. And I don't mean that being emotional, but I mean you got to mean it. You got to be genuine. You got to be sincere, because you can tell people a lot, but they really know whether you are sincere or not. And when you're sincere, they also, a lot of them, they go with you through highs and lows. And yeah.
Fantastic. Authenticity is key. And if we go back to the very start of this talk, one thing that's very important, like I believe your father shared with you, never give up.
Perseverance and resilience. Yeah.
Neuro, anything you'd like to say?
Thank you so much, Marieke, for sharing such a thought-provoking, inspirational women in leadership, women in power, empowering women, and how we cross that boundaries for us women ourselves. So thank you once again for the amazing sessions that we have.
I want to actually say a couple of things that I've said before to people. And regardless of where you are in the company, whether you're male or whether you're female, I just want to tell you that, you are unique. There's only one of you. And just remember that, like, you got specific talents, and there's only one you. And who you are is brilliant, is exciting, it's inspirational. You have to want to see it.
That's
right. And secondly to that is also, as a leader, I look for unity. And unity doesn't mean that everybody has to be the same. It's like unity in diversity. So I often see a company or a team almost as a body. We need everything to function well so that we can perform. And it's the same with the company. And you might think, well, I'm only a pinky, or another person might think, well, I'm pretty important. I'm the heart or the brain. But without the rest of it, you're nothing. And it's the same with a leader. You know, you're only as strong as the people that you work with and that work for you. And you need each other, because if you're on your own, what are you going to do? You know, and last but not least, it's a favorite of mine. In 2009, I came up with a new slogan for the company, which was, I want to deliver quality with integrity. And because I thought, if I want to survive in this world, I want them to respect me. I want them to believe in me. And it took a long, long time, but it's important everywhere. It seems so simple, intangible, but it's crucial. Because think about it, you know, when I tell you, Darren, you know, I think you're a person of integrity, it's a huge compliment. And if we can deliver to clients, but also to each other or to suppliers, if we can deliver with integrity, we build up trust. And I believe also success for the company.
Fantastic. I think the value and the ethic there of integrity is so core to success, and I'm really pleased you brought that up as we wrapped up. Yeah. We could talk forever about integrity. I think that'll be another subject, I think, coming up in another edition of Diverse Talks. So on that, I want to thank you, Marieke, for joining us on this session, and Neural. And just remember, please, everybody, look, like, watch, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got lots of good talks and lots of really good sharing coming towards you. And we've got Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and our YouTube channel. So thank you very much, and goodbye, Marieke. Look forward to seeing you face to face soon. And
I hope so too. Thank you, and wishing again everybody. I think we can still wish a fantastic 2021, but above all, good health.
You too. Thank you. Till next time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.